Hello, everyone. I'm Maggie Tolan. I'm the Program Director for Challenge America and the Military Sisterhood Initiative. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. We just feel really fortunate to be able to connect with you all here tonight through the here and through the Military Sisterhood Initiative network, especially during these tough times. And tonight, we're thrilled to be launching the first in a new MSI event series called Who's at the Table, hosted by the one and only Cherissa Jackson. Thanks, Cherissa. So Cherissa served 23 years of active duty military service, and 10 of those years were as a U.S. Air Force nurse. She's a veteran of both Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. And she now works for AMVETS as Chief Medical Executive and leads the organization's HEAL program, which works to confront the risk factors that lead to crisis and veteran suicide. So we're just so lucky to have Cherissa as a partner on this exciting new series. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And we're joined today by a very special guest, Porsche Williams. And Porsche is a Navy veteran, having served for 4 years, including deployments off the coast of Afghanistan, rescue missions, Lybia liberation campaigns, and other Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom mobilizations. Having gone through her own firsthand experiences with military sexual trauma, homelessness, PTSD, and suicidality, she's now a motivational speaker. She founded her own organization called Restore Life, and she's dedicated to saving lives through applied suicide intervention. So we're just so excited to get to talk with her today, and thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you to everyone who is joining in. I see we have a lot of people joining. We have Corinne, Kathy, Cindy, Brienne, Jeanne. Thank you all so much for being here. We're just so excited to get this started. Just real quick before I turn it over to Cherissa, I just wanted to go through a couple of housekeeping things. We want this to be really interactive. So please, keep using the chat. I love seeing everyone introducing themselves, saying hello. You can make comments as we go through this conversation. And then for questions that you want Cherissa and Porsche to address, there's a button at the bottom that says ask a question, and that's where you'll want to go to ask those questions. You can also upvote other people's questions so that it will raise them closer to the top, and we'll be sure to get to those. We do hope that you'll come onto the screen to ask your question, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, no problem, and just let us know. Type in your question and just put a little note saying no video, and we won't do that. And then for anyone who joins late or can't stay the whole time, don't worry. We are recording this, and we'll repost it to the MSI network for anyone to view afterward. If you're not a member of the MSI network yet, you can join by going to militarysisterhoodinitiative.org and clicking request to join. So we'll put that information in the chat as well, so you have that link. And with that, let's jump right in and have Cherissa take it away.
Awesome. First and foremost, I want to thank MSI and Challenge America for accepting this idea. They know I dream big, and this was a big dream of mine to actually be within this network and actually have conversations with women veterans. And oftentimes our stories aren't told. Oftentimes people really don't know the depth of who we are. And so creating Who's at the Table is really about that. And I encourage every woman here in the MSI network to, look me up, make sure you reach out to me, connect to me if you want to be at the table, because every single woman veteran in this network deserves to be at the table. So thank you so much, Maggie. We want to jump into this, but I think it's important that you all know why I came up with the title, Who's at the Table? Well, for me as a chief medical executive, oftentimes I'm asked to go to meetings on Congress, on Capitol Hill, to talk and advocate for women veterans. And many times, I'm usually not at the table, but now with this title, I'm almost the only female at the table. And I remember an incident, and we'll get into you, Portia, I can talk. So I remember an incident where I was to be at a meeting about women veterans, and it was with top executives and the top representatives in Congress. And I walked into the room and I saw all the placards on the table, because I just knew I was going to be at the table, but I wasn't at the table. So my little mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get as close to the table as possible. And so what I did was I made sure I was part of the conversation. I told everybody who I was. I made sure I met the people I needed to meet, but it was something in my heart that said, why weren't you at the table? And so I went and told my boss, and I said, look, I wasn't at the table. I don't know why I wasn't at the table, but I should have been at the table. And he said to me that day, he said, from now on, I don't care if your name is not on the table, your placard is not there, you deserve to be at the table. Even if you have to take someone else's seat, make sure you get to that table. And from that day forth, I've always been that one that walked into the room and demanded that I be at the table. So I wanted to make sure everyone knew how this came to be, because like me, in that first time, I didn't feel I was worthy to be at the table, but we really are. And we should not be forgotten, and we deserve to be there. And so, Portia, today you're at the table, and I'm so happy that you're here.
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me. I am so very excited to be able to do this, because you're absolutely right. We do need a voice at the table, for certain. Nothing about us without us.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And so everybody probably have gone to the MSI website, read our bios. We're not going to get into our bios tonight. What we're going to do is talk about our characteristics, our attributes that we bring. So when we are at the table with those decision makers, they know who we are and what we're bringing to the table. So I want you, Portia, to tell us your story. Tell us how you've come to be here today at the table.
All right. So my name is Porsche Williams. I am a Navy veteran, but I'm also a mother of two. Two beautiful kids. My son, when I went into the military in 2008, I chose the Navy. My son was about 6 months at the time when I went in. I chose the job as the aviation boatswain's mate fuelsman, which means that I worked on the flight deck and I fueled the jets up there, and I also worked in the below decks. And so and I volunteered for everything. I was a firefighter. I was a stretcher bearer. I did everything that I could in order to just keep my mind occupied during that time, because during the military, a lot of times we don't really volunteer, but we get voluntold, right? We go in with one specific job, but we fill a 1,000 different roles. So that's, what I did in that time frame. I went for 4 years. I did 4 years. And I take my hat off to you, Cherissa, to be able to do 23 years. Oh my God. I gave the Navy the best 4 years that I had, and I ran out. In 2010, I was sexually assaulted by a supervisor. They blackballed it, threw it under the rug, transferred me, went to a different ship. But that ship that I went to the USS Enterprise. That ship made me. That ship taught me the value of hard work, and it helped to further the honor, courage, and commitment, those core values that the military had really given me. And so I did that for, I was on the USS Enterprise. I got deployed a couple times, and I supported Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was right there in the middle, in between the switch. So I did Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. I was actually out deployed when we killed Osama bin Laden. We were actually working on a piracy, counter piracy operation at the same time. So they had cut off our comms for about a month and a half. We couldn't reach out and talk to anybody. Nobody could talk to us because they were intending on throwing Osama bin Laden's body off of our ship. But they ended up doing it off of a different ship. But it was just a really crazy time. After I got out, I thought I was okay. I got out in 2012. I just knew that I wanted to come home. I wanted to come home to my son. His separation anxiety was really bad. I couldn't even go to the bathroom without him thinking that mommy was leaving for deployment. And so that kind of took a toll on me as a mother. I came home, and because I had sustained prior childhood trauma, and then now military sexual trauma, and then post-traumatic stress disorder, I came home and put myself into a toxic relationship. And, you know, I dealt with a lot of abuse, a lot of emotional and physical abuse, domestic violence. And, you know, he would tell me things like, you know, you'll never be good enough for this, or nobody will ever want you. And I believed him. I believed him. You're not beautiful. You're ugly, X, Y, and Z. Like, there were so many different things that he had said to me over the course of almost a decade. That I believed it. And I did not think that I was worthy of more. And I thought that, okay, well, maybe I can just do this to make him stay, or maybe I can just do that, or maybe I could be a better this. But no matter how hard I tried to be whatever he wanted me to be, it just wasn't enough. And so time had passed on. A situation that is particularly, he had cheated quite a bit during our relationship, but the last one, it kind of took me out. And I'm so grateful. Even though I talk about my pain, understand this, I am grateful for everything that I went through. But he cheated on me with my best friend. Wow. And so when it had started coming out, when I found out about, you know, the infidelities with my best friend, once it came all the way out, it had went from a thing where they had been sneaking to they had started telling me about what was going on. So they would call my phone while having relations. And it was just a lot. They had been having affairs in my bed, in my car, just like everywhere. And it was a lot. As a mother who'd been with this one person for, at this time, about 8 years, it was hard for me to understand, one, why would somebody do this to me? Two, it was like the worst pain I had ever been through. Wow. And so on top of military sexual trauma, on top of nightmares, night terrors, flashbacks from being deployed, and all types of things that I was dealing with, I had a hard time. And I can remember I had started to bottom out. So I went to the VA. And before going to the VA, I reached out to 4 people. I reached out to my mom and I said, hey, Mom, listen, I'm having these thoughts to suicide. This is when the thoughts begin. I began having these thoughts to suicide. And she said, well, baby, I'm on the phone with, she said, I'm watching The Housewives of Atlanta. I got to go. Click and hung up. Wow. Then I reached out to my dad and he says, baby, Jesus will fix it all. I'm like, what? So then I reached out to my sister and I'm like, sis, listen, I'm having these thoughts. Like, they're starting to go from thoughts every once in a while to every day. Like, every day I'm feeling like I don't want to wake up. Every day I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. I'm not showering. I'm not myself. I need some help. She said, well, Portia, I'm going to call the police. What? Yeah. So last ditch effort, I went to the VA. I sat and I spoke to my psychiatrist down in the mental health clinic. And I will never forget this feeling. This feeling is the reason that puts fire behind my heels and what it is that we do. I went to her and I said, listen, this is how I'm feeling. With one finger, she typed everything that I was saying. So you can imagine how slow that was. And then at the end of me telling her what it was that I was going through and how I didn't want to live no more and how I was having these thoughts, what she should have done was sent me upstairs or to the emergency room to go be evaluated. But what she did was tell me that she was going to up my meds and sent me out the door. Wow. So I can remember getting up. I can remember these things clearly like it was yesterday. I can remember looking around me moments prior to my suicide attempt. I'm looking around me and I see like half-eaten food. I hadn't cleaned. I hadn't been doing anything. It was just like really, really bad. And I looked at my daughter and I saw her running around laughing, playing with my cousin. And I said, you know what? She'll be fine. My kids will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the pills that she had prescribed and upped for me. And I went to sleep with knowing that I wasn't going to wake back up. And I was okay with that. I was okay. Like, the pain is finally done. In addition to one thing that I left out in our time frame, you know, as mothers, when we go into the military and we give our children to our parents or whoever else, when we come back, we don't come back the same.
Yeah.
So we have to go through all of these things to heal ourselves and things of that sort. And so in addition to, I'm fighting for custody of my son. So I'm going through all of these different pains, and it really took me out. But I'm so very grateful that I woke up. After I woke up is when the work began. That's when my journey began. For most of my life, I felt like I did not understand my purpose. Why was I here? What am I supposed to do? I know that I have a giving heart, but what am I supposed to do with it, Lord? Like, I need guidance. I don't understand. I'm almost, at that time, I think I was like 29. And I'm like, I'm almost 30. I still don't have a clear objective on what it is that I want to do. And it's frustrating. My work began there. I woke up and then I went to the VA. I went inpatient for a couple of weeks, and it was beautiful because for the first time in my life, I was not okay, and it was okay. Yeah. It was okay. I can sit in that corner and cry if I wanted to. And I did. I did. And my veterans, they would sit around me in a barricade so that when the staff would come over and try to talk to me, leave her alone. She's good. She's okay. That's when I felt that camaraderie that I was missing from the service. That's when I felt like somebody cared. That's when I felt like it's okay not to be okay. I don't have to act like everything is all good. It's not a fake it till you make it. No, I'm not okay. And so I went through 2.5 years of intense therapy at the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center from a program called PRRC. Psychosocial rehabilitative recovery, and it is the absolute best program I could have ever went through. Let me tell you something. Those peer support specialists at the VA, they care. They care. I've heard so many different horror stories about how bad the VA is, and we have our gripes about it, and we got things that we're fixing and advocating for within the VA. But there has been some changes made, and there are some troopers in there, and a lot of the people that are really for us are the veterans, right?
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's like, it's so amazing. They helped me change my life. Cherissa. So, you know, it brings me to where I am now. In 2018, I went to go get trained after I was getting ready to graduate from the PRRC program after 2.5 years of intense therapy 3 times a week. And we're working on emotion regulation. We're working on depression, living with suicidal ideations, how to take the power from those ideations, how to really heal yourself, grounding techniques and different things to work on, forgiveness and all types of different things. It was so powerful. Like, I can't even put an amount of how much I owe those people there. I love them. They are like family to me. And that is like when I walk into
Thank God for them, and thank God that you're here, and thank God for your story, because now you can motivate other women, not only here in the MSI network, but I know
all over the world.
Heard you speak. Yeah, I've heard you speak on many different platforms. As a matter of fact, that's how we met. It was at an MSI conference at the DCVA, and I heard you tell your story. And because of that, I was like, oh my God, you know, this is something that a story that needs to be heard, and her journey needs to be understood. And so I so appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate you being so open, because every time I see you and every time I hear you speak, you're not afraid to tell the world what you've gone through. But let me tell you, there's people and there's women out here who are suffering, Portia, with the military sexual trauma, and with the work that we do within the HEAL program. They do feel like they are alone. They do feel like no one cares. And for those peer support experts and specialists to be that anchor for you, that's what we all need at every single VA. So I applaud those peer specialists. I applaud you for putting in the work to do what you got to do to be here at the table today. But let's talk about, you know, when you are, and I know for me, as someone who experienced PTSD from the multiple deployments that I did 4 deployments, 3 combat deployment as a nurse, and the things that I saw, the things that, like you said, the nightmares, I go through all of that, the sleepless nights, the insomnia, I go through all of that. But I remember the pit that I was in. And I knew what it took for me to dig myself out of that pit, right? And I also knew that it was okay not to be okay, but I didn't know who to tell. So tell us about some of the things that you had to do to get yourself out of that pit of having to say, I gotta go to therapy. I don't call my mama, I don't call my daddy, I don't call my sister. This VA specialist is not listening to me. What was that feeling? What was that intuition? What was that gut? What was in you that helped you get out of that pit?
Let me tell you something. What was in me was Yvonne Grissett, okay, at the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center. When I came home out of inpatient, I still didn't want to live. And so I went to the VA and they said, well, in order to get out of inpatient, I had to go into the intensive outpatient. And so when I went up there for my orientation, I was just crying. I was in a corner. I was crying, and they went to go get Yvonne Grissett out of her group. And they said, sister, we got a sister that's in need. And she came in there and she wrapped her arms around me and she held my face. And she said, Portia, let me tell you something. It's going to get better for you. And she said, you don't see what I see in you right now, but you are going to be one of the most powerful, most amazing, one of the most inspiring women. And I'm telling you, she pulled me up. She pulled me up, and then everybody else came around me. And so as I began to go to therapy, they would tell us the days that you don't feel like coming is the days that you need to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you get here. And they made it a requirement, and I showed up, and I kept showing up. And I started to realize after about 2.5 years, and sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I would kind of fall off. And then I have to tell myself, no, let's go. Let's get back to it. I'll fall off for a couple months thinking that everything's fine, thinking that I got it and I can go on. And no, I had to keep going. In fact, to be 100% honest, I graduated out of intense therapy. However, I still speak to my therapist every 3 weeks because every therapist needs a therapist. I have to make sure that I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what we all need to know, because at the end of the day, there's no stigma for me to say that I have PTSD. There's no stigma for you to say, you know what, I'm a survivor of rape. I'm a survivor of MST, right? But so many women hold on to that stigma. I have to be okay. I have to be prim and proper, earrings, hair done, nails done, and inside they're tore up from the floor up, right? And so, and they're afraid to tell people what they're dealing with. And that's why it's important, particularly for this MSI, to let these women know that if you're not okay, raise your hand, find somebody, connect with somebody. And just like you did with your family members, if that wasn't the answer, go to somebody else. If that's not the answer, keep going to somebody else, because your life is worth living. And so I so appreciate your honesty in doing what you had to do. So my question to you is, I know for me, when I'm having my PTSD moments, right, and I'm feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to do nothing today, I'm so unmotivated. There's usually, somebody on this shoulder kind of talking to me and saying, girl, you need to get out of that bed, right? Or you need to go run, you need to go do something. What is it that speaks to you, or who speaks to you that when you have those days that you don't want to get up and do nothing?
It's usually my 7-year-old saying, Mom, can I have some breakfast?
If it works, it works.
Sometimes in what we do, it's draining, right? And so, D, I'm going to answer your question. I see you in the comment section, and I'm going to answer it once we get to the Q&A section. So please don't go nowhere. Yes, sometimes we're not okay. It's absolutely fine to lay in bed sometimes. Some days you're not gonna feel like it. And just allowing yourself that time to recharge. And because it's tough. Oh my God, especially now, with the COVID, and everybody is isolated. So, we are in a place where if you don't know that you have mental health issues, now, because everything is starting to come out and show itself.
Yeah. And you know what? I give myself permission to not be okay for a moment. And because I can't lay in the bed all day, right? And so even if I wake up and say, today's one of those days, I'll look at my clock and I'll be like, okay, you can be here for 2 hours to 3 hours, but guess what? You got to pull yourself up out of this, right? And that works for me, because having to sit in a situation for too long makes me even more anxious, right? So for me, I have to be able to plan it out. Okay, you get 2 hours to not be okay, but then you need to get your butt up and you pull it together and be on purpose, because we all have a purpose for being here. And if that purpose is for me to call you, to call somebody else, or answer a text that's coming in because somebody needs me, then I got to get up and be ready to be on purpose. So I give myself time to not be okay, but also allow myself to get back on purpose, right? So when we're looking at us as women veterans coming to the table, showing up and showing out, right? What are some of the characteristics you feel you embody that says when you walk into a room, you should be at that table? From your story, from the things that you've experienced, what are those characteristics that you embody, that you have when you walk into a room?
I feel like I start out with my core values. That's always my base, my foundation: honesty, courage, and commitment. Being honest with my story, telling my story, having the courage to get up and tell it regardless of what room I'm in or who it makes uncomfortable. And the commitment to stay tied to what it is that my purpose is. I feel like I bring tons of experience with mental health struggles, and a whole lot of experience with with suicide prevention and intervention. When I walk into the room nowadays, it seems as though my name precedes me, because one of the things that I put in is a lot of hard work. Same with you, Cherissa. Like, I know that, we have to put the work in order to get the results that it is that we want.
Yeah, and I appreciate that so much. I want to give a shout out real quick to the women there that's bringing in some beautiful comments. Miss Joyce, Miss Kathy, and Dee, and Miss Crystal Rains. Thank you guys so much for coming into our room tonight. It's so important that we have your support, and we appreciate you guys being here. And as Portia mentioned, and as Maggie mentioned, we'll get to questions at the end. So don't leave us. I know this thread is continuing, and we don't want to miss your questions, so definitely raise your hand when the Q&A comes, so we can talk to each and every one of you. We're all in this together. So Portia, a good thing that Ms. Kathy said, Ms. Joyce said, like, together we heal, right? And I love that about together we heal, because I believe in mentorship. We're all supposed to, from my standpoint, I believe I'm here not to just help me and my kids and my immediate family. I think my God-given purpose is to help others and to mentor others. And if there's something that works for me, if I can tell you and be like, Portia, I run 2.5 miles a day. I do 100 push-ups. I do 10 sit-ups. And guess what? I'm good for the day. I will want to share that with you so we can all heal together. So I love that statement that Ms. Kathy made. What do you think about us healing together? And where do we as women veterans come together and heal together? What do you think about that?
One of the most powerful displays that I've seen of us healing together is the Military Sexual Trauma Summit. When women from all over the world, essentially, because they had women coming from other countries, and it happens to be something that is tragic, but it's been swept under the rug for so long. And so when I miss the VA, but when I used to be in the VA, and we used to have the clothesline project, and if you ladies don't know what clothesline project is, where all of the women and or men that may have sustained any type of military sexual trauma, they write on a shirt, and on the shirt they write what they want to say to the person that traumatized them, or a message for others, and then we hang them in the atrium, and the power that it brings. And so when we all get in that room together, full of providers and people with experience and things like that, it brings us all together, and it enables people that have been holding on to their pains. Because I seen I think it was Miss D Oh no, Joyce. She said it took her over 2 decades to start her claim. But the thing, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 decades that women and men, but women have been holding on to their traumas, and that's one of the things that I've seen that has been like a really big healing moment together. Oh, Ms. D said it's been over 50 years. Yeah, it's
And that's why it's important that women know that we're not alone out here. And, I go to conferences all across the country, and I get so many women come up to me after I come off stage and be like, man, you said something that resonated in me. And I thought I was the only one. I just knew I was the only one going through that. And it was so empowering for you to say what you say. And that's what we should be about. That is the movement that we should have in this country for women veterans, that we should empower one another to be able to say, this is my story, and our story should be good enough, right? And we should honor each other's story. And Ms. D, for you, 50 years, but we're here for you. We're here to support you. We're here to offer whatever support you need. Just know that you have a camaraderie of women right here that's willing to do whatever we need to do to ensure you're in your best mental state possible. I tell people all the time, sometimes you just need that good home, good girlfriend conversation, but take all the fluff out and let's get to the core of what you need. And let us be here to surround you, hug you, give you what you need. And empowering is what we need to do for each other. And that's why this format, this particular way of doing it is a good way for everybody to be like, you know what? We don't have no makeup on. We don't have no uniform on. It's just us having a candid, open conversation. And so thank you, ladies, for those comments. So Porsche, your story is so compelling. Every time I hear another layer of it. And everybody's story has it's like an onion. There are many layers. You got to pull back and pull back and pull back. So tell me, what part of your story is that one part that you feel like if you had to do over or do a redo, what part of your story? I know you're nodding your head, and you're going to say the thing most people say is, my life is what it was, and I won't, undo or redo anything. And I get that. But what part of your story, if you had to rewrite it a little bit, put an and, a comma, semicolon, what part of your story do you feel that you can tweak a little bit to get you can get the same outcome? Sure, but to get a different outcome. What part of your story would that be?
So the reason why I say that I wouldn't change anything, Cherissa, because I did a lot of suffering. For 29 years, I suffered. I suffered greatly in many situations. But because I suffered for so long, it made me tired. It made me fed up. It made me angry enough to say that, you know what, I need something different. If this is my life and this is how I want to live it, I got to heal it. So when I went through therapy with the mindset that I need a change. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of stressing. I'm tired of going through everything. But everything that I went through, Cherissa, even my last 2 years have been incredibly hard. However, every piece and every stitch of my story is what makes me such a good suicide interventionist. It's the reason why I'm able to take anybody's story who's hanging on a cliff and to be able to help them up. I suffered for almost a decade with one man. So when I'm talking to women that's been married for 20 and 30 years, I can always say, well, I haven't been there that long, but I know what it feels like to hold on longer than you should.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
we all do.
So it makes my spirit, it makes my being that much more powerful because of everything that I suffered through.
Man, that in itself is powerful, because if you suffered as much as you're telling us, and I'm sure it's deeper than what you're exposing to us right now, I wouldn't want to redo none of that either. I wouldn't want to put a comma, a semicolon, or nothing behind my story either. And that's important to know. One of the things I tell my daughters all the time is, we all go through all of our different circumstances, but it makes us who we are. And it's like driving a car, right? In your car, you have your side mirrors, you have your front mirror, you have your back mirror. And I say to my children all the time, when you're truly changing, and you're truly going through an obstacle, you got to get on the other side of that obstacle, there's no sense in looking back in that rear view mirror. You can look back to say what you ain't going to do again, right? But you don't need you don't need to look back and say, well, I did this and I did that. Yeah, you're going to look back, but you ain't going to look back and stay there for a while. You're going to take a little glimpse and be like, oh, I can't do that because I know what happened when I did that. Now, those two side view mirrors, and you can look on the side and decide if you're going to change lanes, like you did. You had to decide, I need to go and get help. So you changed lanes. You put that signal, girl, you put that signal light on and you went over to that right-hand side or that left-hand side so you can get the help that you need. But it's truly about how do you look forward? Because when you look forward, you ain't worried about what happened in the past. You're not worried about, do I need to change over? Because you've already figured out which lane you're supposed to be in. It's how you move forward.
It's also, he said we also have a seatbelt. Listen, but it's also important to make sure that I mention a lot of women. I don't really want to speak on men because we're on a women's show, but a lot of us, a lot of time, instead of healing our voids, we fill them. We cannot fill our voids. We got to heal them. So we can't put our job, our kids, whatever, another relationship or whatever the case, because that void is still going to be there and you're still going to be unhappy deep down inside. There is nothing more free than being, regardless of there's so much going on in life right now, but in all honesty, y'all, I'm still happy.
And I am happy. You should be, and you deserve it. But those voids that you're talking about, and I know personally, you're hitting the nail on the head. It's about, okay, I have this emptiness. So how do I feel that emptiness? But what I also discovered, Porsche, in my walk, in my journey, is that I wasn't filling voids. I was looking for distractions, so I didn't have to deal with those problems. Right. So instead of healing, I found other ways to distract. My kids distracted me. I dove deeper into their activities. I dove deeper into being the best mom that I can be, make sure that they are sound and ready for college. I dove deeper into my military career, being the top notch, ICU nurse, you know what I'm saying? While marriage is failing, while relationships are failing, while friendships are failing. And so to fill those voids, you're absolutely spot on. It's not about that. If you're on the road to recovery and you're on the road to healing, and not allow yourself to be distracted, because there's so many things out here that can distract us, right? So Porsche, we're all different. My walk of life is different than your walk of life. What would you say to a woman veteran that you encounter on the street and she's asking you, I just need a word today. Give me a word today because I don't feel lifted. I don't feel empowered. I don't feel like I'm worth anything. What one word would you say to that woman veteran?
One word?
One word. One word. One word.
I would say more than one word. I just started talking. I can't say that I would just say one word because I'm just gonna talk her head off.
And I knew you were gonna say that. And I knew you were gonna say that.
Because it's okay not to be okay. That's my biggest message for my sisters. It's okay to not be okay. Sis, come here and give me a hug. Okay, let's start there. Let me bring up these levels of oxytocin in your body. Come here, hug me. Okay.
And that's why I knew you were going to say that. That's why I saw the look in your face, and you were stumped, and you're just like, one word. Is she really asking me to say one word, or to? No, I can't.
That's like I asked you to say one word. You know we head up. Come here, sis. Let me pray for you. I got a word for you. Come here. Let me tell you.
I got a couple of words for you.
Women veterans are amazing. I think that we sometimes miss that we are some of the most resilient people on this earth. We are some of the most versatile people on this earth. We took a job that they made for only men and we bodied it. Like, girl, we are amazing.
We crushed it, honey.
Okay, we in the trenches with these men. Okay, like we really put in work. When people were looking to their left and to their right of the people that were going to save them when our lives was in danger, a lot of the times it was a woman.
Yeah. Hello. And I know for my field as a clinician, we definitely outnumbered the men, right? And a lot of the soldiers that I took care of, I'm
Yes.
sure they were happy to see my face when they woke up in the desert, right? And so,
Yeah, right.
and I think that's just important that, you know, it goes beyond just our conversation. It really goes into being who we are every day and empowering each other every day. So Portia, again, your story is powerful. Your experience is powerful. You deserve to be here at the table. You're here at the table. And I know you walked into a room deserving to be at the table. When was the first time you felt like I'm supposed to be here? When did that happen?
I don't know that it happened, right? Like, I don't think it was so much of a, I deserve to be here. It was when my name began to precede me, when people start saying, no, we want her here. Like, we have all these different options, but we want her because she is saying something that we need to hear. Let me tell you something. It's by no mistake that 147 lives have been saved by me off of a conversation that I learned from A.S.I.S.T. By no mistake.
Yeah.
Okay?
I love this. I love this.
By no mistake. By no mistake. Like, it is one of the most powerful conversations that one can have. And I will sing this to the hills for the rest of my life. And anybody that will listen, it's amazing. And so when you start to do the work and people start talking and they start witnessing people come to you and say, Portia, oh my God, you saved my life. Thank you so much, sister. You said this that day and it helped me to keep pushing. When people start realizing that and watching that flow of energy and exchanges happen, they begin to target you as needing to be in that room. But I definitely think that it's time for us. We've been in those congressional settings. You know, we've spoken. I just recently did Congressional Black Caucus last September. We're down on Capitol Hill. We're advocating for women veterans. We're doing those things, but you are absolutely right that we need to be in the table because nothing about us without us. There is no man that can tell us about our bodies, the care we should receive, or anything of those sorts because you're not a woman.
Exactly. So before we get to Q&A, I love to do a quick fire, fill in the blank, type drill with you. And this is stuff that should come off the cuff, come just natural for you. But I want to do this fill in the blank little drill with you, just so the women in this network on this platform can really horn in on who you're about and what you're all about. Okay, so here we go. Fill in the blank. My life without the military would have been
probably regular and boring. I'd probably be a pharmacist.
You know what? That's not a bad gig though, right?
Right? I mean, something quiet.
Okay. If there was one thing I would change about my story, the thing that I would change would be, and you said earlier, nothing. My biggest motivation or motivator in life is
my children, my babies. Yes, my 2 children. My little daughter is like a carbon copy of me. She's 7, and it's so weird to see her like trying to be exactly like me, dress like me, talk like me.
Oh my God.
Are so me. Yes, it's amazing.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Survival is
paramount.
Look, one word. You only gonna end it with one word?
Girl, look at me. I'm doing it. Okay.
My life is worth.
I left that one blank.
Hello.
My life is worth. I can't even add a value. Because I impact so many others and they impact so many others and they impact so many others. Oh, it's amazing.
A huge domino effect is what I hear. You touch one, you touch another one, that one touch another one.
It's priceless. Tanisha, Cheryl, Crystal, priceless. Yes.
Okay. So they helped you out on that one. So you won't get credit for that one.
Thank y'all.
My story is changing lives because
it stops them from making a permanent decision based off temporary emotions.
Say that again.
Whoa. It stops them them because it stops them from making permanent decisions based off temporary emotions. Suicide is what is the word that I'm looking for? I can't find my word. The actual impulse. It's impulsive action. If you can outlast that impulse, the thought will come again, but the actual impulse to do it don't last long at all.
Absolutely. Okay. Joy is
a part of my everyday. I have to find a reason. There is a piece of joy out of every day. You just got to find it.
Well, your smile says it all when you do that. You are exuding joy through the screen right now. Happiness.
And I do it at the VA as well. Like I do it. I'll see older veterans coming down a walkway, and I go, "Oh my God, Mama D!" And just my energy, it makes her so excited. I do it all the time.
And that's why you just had to be here today, right? Okay. Happiness is
attainable. One word. It's attainable. You got to work for it.
Absolutely. My truth comes from
my soul. Yeah, that comes from deep down in.
Through your core. Wow. And your last one, this is going to be a tricky one. 3 healing areas of your life are.
So I want to say the healing areas that I had to work on and still working on. My mental health and healing. I'm still healing. I'm not, every day isn't a great day. I still have my battles. I still have my struggles, and I still have growth to attain. So I want to say my mental, and I feel like all 3 fits into that one. Because there's so many things like I'm still learning because I'm empathic. I'm still learning not to hold everyone else's with mine. I'm still learning that sometimes I have to take a break to only take care of me because self-care is essential for all of us.
Absolutely.
And I'm still learning how to say no, setting boundaries.
Yeah.
I want to share this one important boundary with you guys, and it's only going to take 2 seconds, maybe 3. So one of the toxic people in my life, and whom I'm not going to disclose because this is going to go public, but she is incredibly toxic and she rides every nerve in my body. And so what I have a new rule now. I don't talk to her for more than 5 minutes. It's somebody that I have to talk to. And so since I have to talk to her, I don't talk to her. I give her 5 minutes. 5 minutes. If she exceeds that 5 minutes, it's time to go because I know that eventually the conversation is going to go left. So to set the boundary and to protect my mental health and my well-being and the healing of myself, 5 minutes. And it's been great.
And you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You know what works for you. So why sit in there past 5 minutes if you know it's going to be a toxic situation? And then now you're going to be like, I'm sitting here, I'm feeling myself getting anxious and irritated and frustrated, but you're doing it to yourself because you went past 5 minutes. So don't go past 5 minutes.
She said, look, Krista said she lucky you give her 5 minutes. Okay.
You know what? I'm a quick trigger. So she is good because me, I'll give her 1. I would certainly give her 1. So listen, we're almost at that point, our hour, but I would love to say to you, Portia, one of the things that I want women to always know is that we all have our own stories, we have our own journeys, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. But know that, and this just like your thing, and a lot of people say the cliche, it's okay to not be okay. My thing is, we should all be at peace and not in pieces. And we all can be broken. And some of us are really broken and we're shattered into zillions and zillions of little pieces, right? But at the end of the day, if we can find how to be at peace, PEACE, and not in pieces, every day is a good day. No matter what comes your way, we can all
that shattered. That shattered is amazing when you put it back together. You ever seen stained glass? Come on now. Sometimes it can be more beautiful than the original. At first, you was just a blank slate. Now you're colorful, and all these pieces are put together. Oh, and you can help somebody along your way. So it's
but guess what else, right? Even when you have those shattered pieces and you're trying to put it together with the super glue and stuff like that, you're never going to get it back perfect.
Nope, it's not going to be the same. You're going to be different, and that's okay.
And that's okay to be different, right? Because if you start the journey and you're going through the process of being better, you ain't going to be the same. So that is my hope for everybody. That's my hope for you, my dear, is that as you continue along your journey, that you can be at peace and not in pieces. Okay? You want to get into some questions now? You want to get into some questions?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Ladies, questions.
Okay.
Let me see if we have anything up top that we missed.
Well, I think Maggie is going to control the question panel so people can raise their hands and they can come into the room with us. Maggie, are you going to come back on?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'll just keep you ladies up on the video.
Okay,
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure they're camera ready.
So Tanisha has a question. I'm going to invite her on screen and see if she wants to come on.
Wonderful. Stained glass has rainbows. Yes, they do, Ms. D, and I love rainbows.
Yes, I do. It's so pretty.
With breaking comes rebuilding, stronger, bolder, more. Yes, absolutely. I love it.
Okay, so Tanisha doesn't want to come on screen. That's
Okay.
absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Her question is, do you have suicidal thoughts? If so, how do you combat them?
You want to start or I want to start?
Oh, it's your story. Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I live with suicidal ideations. And when I went through the PRRC program at the VA, one of the courses that we took was learning how to not give them power. So like what I'll do is they call it catch it, check it, change it, right? So when I'm going through a situation or a few situations or whatever it is, whatever storm that I'm in the middle of, as I'm going through it, if I feel myself starting to get depressed and then shutting people out and isolating, there are different steps in your depression in different levels. And once I reach certain ones, I tell myself, Portia, not today. I'll speak out loud against them. No, thank you. Nope, you still got stuff to do. I have so many different things to look at. I do grounding, right? So I have a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I actually taught my children this, so they'll take it throughout their life. In that moment, because a lot of times your brain at one time, you can only think one actual thought at a time. Now you may have many that processes through your brain, but only actually one can you have at a time. So what I do is I take that, I'll name 5 things I can see. Okay, I can see the seasons, I can see the TV, I can see my boyfriend, I can see some paper towels, I can see a computer. Okay, cool. 4 things that I can touch: the couch, my shirt, my hair, the table. Okay, 3 things that I can hear: the remote control, my voice, and possibly the air freshener thing when it goes off. And then 2 things that I can taste. Or and then 1 thing that you go through all of the senses and you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 it, and that brings you back to the current moment. Sometimes I listen to Janae Aiko, Jhene. Her last name is Aiko. She has this thing called a trigger protection mantra. You can look it up on YouTube. And so she plays different instruments, and those instruments are played in tones that is triggered to relax you. And basically she's saying throughout the whole time, the way the note in which she's singing in also does the same thing. And so she's saying, calm down, protect your energy, the whole time. And it is absolutely amazing. So there are things that you can do within that time to kind of bring yourself back. But more importantly, if you're having thoughts, reach out. You can reach out to me. And I'll give my information at the end. You can reach out to the crisis line. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you don't want to talk, then you want to text, You can hit 741-741 if you don't want to talk to them. If you're not actually in crisis and you just want to talk to somebody, we have Vets for Warriors. That's based out of New York State, Syracuse. And it's a line full of veterans that talk to you. And you can call and you can vent about your day or whatever the case if you need to. Their number is 1-855-838-8255. But there are a lot of different resources that you have around you. So if you're having a thoughts, the first thing that I would do is reach out to my therapist if my thoughts begin to get too much. Like, let me check in. First thing I do is reach out to the person that I know for without a shadow of a doubt that will pick up the phone and call me like, hey, you okay? What's going on? And allow me to get out whatever it is that I'm feeling.
Yeah. And I would add another resource and it's an app. It's called Not Okay. And I tell people, and I rant and rave about this app all the time. And what this app does, it allows you to enter 5 people into the app that you care about. And so if you're having a bad day, if you're having thoughts, if you just need somebody to talk to, you can send an alert to those 5 people. And that alert will say to those 5 people, Cherissa's not okay. So if I send that alert to my 5 people, these are my closest friends, my people that I know care about me, those 5 people should then in turn, once they receive my not okay alert, they should call me. Hey, Cherissa, I got your alert. Are you okay today? And you want those people around you. So if those 5 people decide to reach out to me and they don't get me, I know my 5 people, they're going to be like, where is Cherissa? What's going on with Cherissa? And those 5 people are going to start calling each other. Have you heard from Cherissa? Did you get a text from Cherissa? What's going on with Cherissa? So now everybody's worried about Cherissa because they hadn't heard from me. But this app allows you to do a GPS locator. So it will tell those 5 people where I'm at. So if they need to send EMS, if they need to, say, hey, Portia, you're closer to this location. Run out there and find Cherissa. She's in that little black Mini Cooper. You know where she drives, and see what's going on. So therefore, you have 5 people that can be there to support you. You have a GPS locator. So if no one reaches you, they can actually send help. So there's so many tools out here that can be around you to just be available to you, and just do not be afraid to reach out. Portia and I are A.S.I.S.T trainers. We've been trained to be able to talk about these things. And so at the end of the day, if you want that intimate feel, you don't want to go through a crisis hotline, you don't want to do the Not Okay app, you don't want to let your family in, know that there's people out here who are trained to do that. So I would suggest to all the women here in the chat tonight, in this platform, download that Not Okay app, not only for yourself, but for your family. As we all know, suicide is rampant in the teenage community, and these teenagers need to have this available to them. So if they can't talk to you as parents, they have some other kids that they are teachers or counselors that they can talk to. And to now have this be available for veterans, I think is amazing. So I hope that helped you out a little bit there. Maggie, you can go to the next question.
Great. Yeah, we have quite a few questions, so I hope we can get to
we gotta hurry up. Okay.
So just real quickly for Tammy, just wanted to reiterate that this is a series, so we'll be doing more of these Who's at the Table live events, and the next one I think we have scheduled for May 20th. So we'll be sending out details through MSI and social media as well. So just wanted to answer that one. And then the next one is from Cindy. And Cindy's wondering how you grow self-love. Great question.
Okay, we gotta answer it quick. Cherissa.
Let me ask Maggie. Let me ask Maggie. Maggie, I know we're slated for an hour. Does the platform cut off after the hour, or are we able to go deeper into these answers or not?
Yeah, let's we can keep going
Okay.
if you have the time, and then if anyone needs to jump off, that's fine, and you can watch the recording too. But yeah, I'd love to get to these questions, so go ahead.
So I would certainly love to start. It took me a while. I mean, I would be 49 in July, and a series of unfortunate events, a bad marriage, relationships that didn't last, not having examples of what a good relationship should look like, not knowing how to, one, love myself. And after several years of doing this and understanding what my self-worth really is, and that came from having to go to therapy. Because even though I'm the fifth of six children, and you would think having that many siblings and, having a family where my mom and dad were in the household together, and, there was a lot of love, that I would know how to love myself because there were so many people around me, but I didn't learn that. It wasn't taught to me. Right. And I come from a Southern background where you did what your mom and daddy say. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. You were the child. So having to learn the things that I needed to learn to know how to self-love, I didn't get. And then to come into the military right afterwards and to be married at a very young age and not have the tools, I had to really figure it out. And I figured it out through trial and error. And some were good and some were bad. But let me tell you, when I finally got fed up and I was like, I deserve to be happy and I want to be happy. And I understood what happiness was. And that's through reading, surrounding myself by good people, surrounding myself by powerful people, surrounding myself by some powerful women, surrounding myself by women that would mentor me and be like, girl, you don't fell off your rocker. Why did you do that? And why did you think that person was the best person for you? And so having to surround myself with good women that knew me and knew so much about me to help guide me into making better decisions, I started understanding how to love me first. And once I started understanding how to love me first, my shoulders, I was staying taller. I presented myself in a different way, and I got to just bounce those people off that wasn't worth nothing to me, that I would have normally have entertained. But it took me having to get help, understand what self-love was, figured it out for myself, and surrounded me by people that were strong women that could teach me what that was all about.
Mm-hmm. I concur everything she said, especially therapy. Therapy helped me. I had to learn what love was. And so I had been taught the whole entire wrong way. So I had to start all the way over. And it started and loving myself. It started through therapy. I had to break everything down and build it back up.
Yep. Next question, Maggie.
Tammy has a clarifying question on the number that you shared, Portia. I think she's talking about the Vets for Warriors number, if it's for both women and men.
Yes.
Great, thanks. And I did post that number in the chat, and we can repost it when we repost this video as well, because those were great resources.
Yeah.
So Carol is asking if the VA mental health programs accept someone's Christian or biblical values in your experience.
That's a VA question for you, Portia, because we as a veteran service organization, we don't get into the religious aspects of things. We take people as they come. We don't ask them anything about their religion. As a veteran service organization, the HEAL program, we take people as they come. It's not even a question on our intake form. What's your religion or your religious belief? We're there to help. And my HEAL program don't get into the weeds of what your religious preference is. If you need something, we go above and beyond to help advocate and secure those resources for veterans, regardless of their religious preference.
What she said. The VA they don't ask. I have never, they've never asked about it. However, there is organizations that are tied to, if you prefer that, they have organizations that are tied to religious based faiths. So just let me, if that's what you're looking for, let me know and I can help you find some that are near you.
Great.
Next question, Meg.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So we have a question from LaShawn, and she's asking, Portia, when you finally decided to let people know your story, how were you received by people who don't know you or experience what you have or haven't experienced what you've been through?
That's a good question.
It's better than money. Like, it's better than anything that I could have ever experienced. It is amazing. It's amazing how I'm received when I go out here and I tell my story. They wrap me in love. Some of them cry. They'll walk up to me crying. And they don't even got to say a word to me. I already know what they're crying about. And that's okay, because at some point in my story, I've had people cry during my story. Like that happened at the CBC this year. Somebody burst out into tears really loud, and like they had to take her out. And it makes my heart drop a little bit, because I feel bad for them to be knowing that they're struggling with that much pain, but then it also helps me to identify. I can always tell who my stories is impacting, because they shift in their body language. And I pay attention for all of those things when I'm telling my story. But the way that I'm received, even the first time that I told it alongside Kevin Hines. And he is the individual that jumped off of the Golden Gate Bridge in 2001. He's like really big. Yeah. He's like really big in the suicide prevention world. And so that was the first time I told my story. And it was like, I was scared. I was nervous. I did a whole lot of stuttering and a whole lot of in between my words. But eventually, through time and repetition, I was able to tell it a lot better. But yeah, I'm received with love. Because it's always somebody that's going through what you're going through, or know somebody that's going through what you're going through.
And you know what, for me, just to caveat, it was freeing for me, because I had held on to my story for years. I had been to Iraq the first time in 2005. I didn't disclose that I had PTSD after these 4 deployments until 2012. After Prevention Magazine had heard about my story. And I was scared to pieces when Prevention came, and they were in my house filming and videoing, taking pictures. I'm like, oh my God, this is real now. I have to tell my story. And the first thing I thought about, because I had not told my parents, I had not told my kids, I had not told anybody that I was suffering in silence. And when I told my story, and they told me when it was going to be in the magazine, they told me when it was going to be in the stores, I was like, let me just sit back and see what happened. And I had such an overwhelming amount of people that reached out and said, oh my God, so did I. So am I. I'm suffering too. Thank you for being a voice for me, because I don't feel, and I didn't feel like I could do this by myself. So it was very freeing for me that people felt comfortable enough to approach me and say to me, thank you for being honest about your story. And it continues to be that way. No matter how many stages I speak on, I have somebody always come up to me and say, thank you, because now I know I'm not alone. And so that gives me the motivation and encouragement to continue to tell my story. And even if I don't even get that, even if no one comes up to me, even if no one tells me that, my story inspired, motivated, encourages me, I know that I'm living and walking in my purpose every day. And that's what keeps me going, regardless of if there's anybody that agrees, disagrees, likes it, doesn't like it. It's all about me walking in my purpose.
There you go. There it goes. I just want to make sure that I let y'all know that I can't find my charger, and my phone is like on 10%. So if it happens to die towards the end of this, I apologize.
I think we got one more question left. I think we're almost done.
I think we got it, because it was for the phone number. So we posted that. So that was all the questions.
Wonderful. I also would like to add and let everyone know, for those that don't, that I am not just Miss Suicide Prevention and Intervention and all of those things. But I am also in the running for Miss Veteran America. I'm a semi-finalist in the Miss Veteran America 2020 competition.
Yeah.
So I'll know in June if I proceed to the finals and from there on out. So I am super, super, super excited.
Wonderful.
I want to leave them with contact information and things of that sort.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Porsche.
So for those that are on Facebook, I have my contestant page that you can follow, but I also respond and engage with everyone there. And that's Porsche, P-O-R. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it into the comments section. I'm going to put all of my social media information into the comments section.
I was just gonna put it in. So you do that.
For you.
While she's doing that real quick, I just want to reiterate that we're going to be reposting the replay video of this if you missed anything onto the MSI platform. So I will be doing that hopefully by tomorrow. And if you haven't joined yet, to join MSI by going to militarysisterhoodinitiative.org.
Awesome. And I would like to say thank you to all the women that signed up for this series. We wanted to come out with a bang and to see how many people actually registered for the series, how many people came on today to hear Portia's story, to really be here and be about the Who's at the Table interview series. It warms my heart. I appreciate your interest. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here in the MSI network. I haven't told Maggie this, but at the end of the series, I will be giving out a few of my autographed signed copy books of At Peace 926. It's an award-winning book. It's a self-help book, and I'll be giving that out to a few members here at MSI. So stay tuned with us. Follow us. You may be one of those winners that get an autographed signed book coming your way. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. You guys have a blessed rest of the week. If you guys need anything, you can come into the MSI network and find us. You can IM me. You can find me on social media with Cherissa Jackson on all of my platforms. And I'm so honored to be here and blessed to have you guys here.
Thank you, Cherissa. Thank you, Portia. Feel free to keep the contact info rolling on the chat, but I'll go ahead and close us out. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Absolutely.
Right, have a great evening.
Be safe, everyone. God bless.